Welcome, everyone. We are seeing people joining. Great to see all of you here. We will be given maximum 2 minutes for people to join. So as you get ready, feel free to make a coffee, have a notebook, have your pens, and get ready for what I hope is going to be a very productive time with a stellar panel who will be sharing with us their learning, their experience, their advice, their wishes, and therefore all of you also asking your questions and sharing your own wishes. In the meantime, you can share in the chat where you're dialing in if you're representing a company and anything that you would like to share to do a little bit of virtual networking. We have Yvonne from New York. Amazing. And then Carissa from San Antonio. Amazing. And Wanda from Williamsburg. Leslie from New Jersey. A lot of people from New Jersey. Brenda, Samantha. Amazing. Washington, Texas in the house, but New Jersey is definitely leading the pack. North Carolina, great. Okay, so a few more seconds, but again, we're so happy to have you here with us. It's fantastic to see the amazing poder de convocatoria that this capacity building series have. And we're so happy that you keep sharing the word and telling the world that we're running this series and that it is absolutely open for everyone to join. So looking forward to hosting you in the upcoming webinars. But as I mentioned, it was 2 minutes. So now we are going to officially kick off. Welcome, everyone. My name is Ana Saldarriaga, and I am the Chief Operating Officer of We Are All Human, a foundation dedicated to advance equity for all, but with a particular focus on Hispanics in the United States. Today is the fourth of a 6-part capacity building series focused on the 6 pillars of the Hispanic Promise. For those who might not be familiar, the Hispanic Promise is the first of its kind national corporate pledge to prepare, hire, promote, retain, celebrate, and buy from Hispanics in the workplace. Launched at the World Economic Forum in 2019, and as a result of joint efforts of multiple Hispanic organizations, the Hispanic Promise is a non-legally binding sign of intention or a call to action for business leaders and companies of corporate America to create a more inclusive work environment for Hispanics. To date, more than 300 companies have signed the pledge and growing, and we encourage you to do the same in case you haven't, or that you share with others that might not know that these efforts are taking place. During our last session, we covered how to address the issue of underrepresentation of Hispanics in leadership roles and explore strategies for developing and promoting Hispanic talent within organizations. Hispanic employees represent, in average, 3.6% of the total number of employees in big corporations, especially on tech. This is alarming, given that we represent almost 20% of the total US population, and we are the fastest growing demographic of the country. So therefore, this is what today's pillar is about. If hiring and promoting Hispanic talent is a challenge in itself, losing talented Latino employees is a widespread problem for corporate America. According to the Hispanic Association on Corporate Responsibility, ASER, the average attrition for Hispanic employees in 2016 was over 20%. Simply put, Latinos are not staying in corporate America. And this is why today we will be talking about cultivating a culture of belonging, ensuring Hispanic retention and success. There are many tactics that you might have seen already available on the internet on how to improve this problem. So we're not going to lecture you about like theory and retention strategies in the academic sense. Today, we are going to host a panel where we will be hearing directly from panelists on their learnings and their advice as they have navigated these issues themselves. As attendees, you can expect to learn practical and applicable information from industry experts on how to develop strategies for talent development, diversity, and inclusion. Whether you are an HR professional, a corporate leader, or simply interested in promoting diversity and inclusion in the workplace, we are very happy for you to join us to explore how to improve the retention and talent of Hispanics in your organization. Now, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to our stellar panel of today. So please help me welcome in Carolina, Carla, Roberto, and Andrea, who will be guiding us in this conversation. Carolina is the Director of Inclusion and Capability of KFC Global, where she is responsible for leading all aspects of organizational development, training, leadership development, and equity and inclusion across KFC restaurants support centers. In her position, Caro plays a strategic role in building an inclusive, heart-led, high-performance organization from the inside out. Carla Ibarra serves as a Director of Corporate Social Responsibility at NRG. In this role, she supports a cohesive brand experience and plays a critical role in shaping corporate culture while providing marketing services for a variety of corporate stakeholders. Additionally, Carla leads Positive NGR, a program through which she manages the day-to-day operations of NGR corporate social responsibility community engagement efforts. Then we have Roberto Ramirez, who is the founder and CEO of two incredible organizations. One, the Hispanic Public Media Foundation, whose mission is to cultivate and sustain the Spanish-speaking community through media and sharing it with the world. And on the second one, the Spanish Public Radio, or SPR, that complements the first organization through a multimedia broadcasting infrastructure that promotes high-quality news, music, arts, culture, financial, and educational content to a Spanish-speaking audience. And then last, and as people say, not least, Andrea Freire, who is the Chief Digital Officer at Adalitica. She is dedicated to driving businesses through digital transformation with a focus on AI integration. With an advanced background in computer science and global business administration, as we were referring just to tech, she holds a certification in business analytics, design thinking, agile methodology, and customer experience. She brings a significant expertise in software engineer, business analysis, and general management. So as now you get to know a little bit more about the panelists that are joining us today, I hope that you are as excited as we are to get this conversation started. As you will be hearing from them, please feel free to share in the comments any insights, any things that caught your attention, and any questions that you would like them to cover as they go through the answers. And then if we have time at the end, then we might be able to cover some of them in particular. So please engage in the chat as much as you can, and then let's begin. So we have 4 questions that we will be sharing across different panelists. The first one is, what are some examples of best practices, programs, initiatives that your company or organization has implemented to advance and overcome the retain pillar as a barrier? Caro, let's begin with you.
Thank you so much, Anna, and good morning, everybody. I'm so excited and feel honored to be here with you. Hope to have the opportunity to learn from this amazing panel that we have today and from the participants. So I have the pleasure and the honor to work for KFC Global, and the best practice that I'm gonna share is focus on our corporate employees, not at the restaurant level. So we have in KFC this incredible culture when we focus on character development and under an umbrella of smart, heart, and courage from a leadership point of view. And the promise we make our people is that here they can be their best self, they can make a difference, and they can have fun. And team, that resonates so much with our Latin employees. Really, our culture, they feel that they can be themselves, and they feel like this is almost the way that they talk to us about is their family. So that is incredible. And this people first culture tool really help us to retain that talent But it doesn't mean retention, doesn't mean that advancement. So what we did is we have 15 business units across our portfolio. One of them is the Latin American business, which office is based in Florida. So we took a look and said, okay, how can we advance the career of that group of people that, because of the location of the office, is attracting best quality people and to work on marketing, finance, development, operations. And how can we position LANC, Latin American Caribbean, is how we call the business unit, to be at the feeder of Latin talent. So I worked together, I partnered with the GM and said, okay, so let's look at our talent. What is the development plans that we can put in place to accelerate their development and export talent? So the Latin American business becomes that feeder of talent. And it has been amazing. This is our 3rd year doing it. It's a small office. So think about 40 people. And I think that we have exported half of that talent, which means that now we have Latin talent across the globe. Our GM in Singapore is Mexican, and we have directors in the US. So exporting the beautiful and incredible talent that we have, but also attracting new talent in Florida. So that's one example of really, yes, we can have people that love our culture and wants to stay with us, but we want to make sure that they have a career and that they have advancement here. So and just to finalize, we also have, like, from that experience, the new COO of Latin America actually came to Dallas and then moved to Latin America. So it's almost a way for them to create the next generation of C-levels in their organization.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Caro. Now, Carla, what are your insights on best practices?
Thank you, Ana. At NRG, actually, we do many things. We have different initiatives, programs, etc. But there's 3 that I would like to highlight. In 2020, we launched a CEO-led DEI committee, and that committee was comprised of groups of people that represented all the divisions of NRG. They also represented different seniority levels and functions, and they were tasked with identifying gaps, mapping the initiatives that we already had, and so that we could find those opportunities and how we would be able to tackle those critical areas for us. And so that group came up with a bunch of recommendations, and it's taken years to implement some of those, but we have seen the progress being made because we started that groundwork a few years back. And that part does not mean that the work was not being done already. It just became more formal, right? It had more of a structure at that point. The second one that I would like to mention is the BRG program that we have. And I speak very fondly of this one because it truly is very unique. The program allows us to have one of the many ways that our employees can embrace their unique knowledge, their skills, their perspectives. They can have a space where they can feel safe sharing those and talking about their differences, their similarities, their challenges. And these groups are employee-led. They're open to everyone. And they're groups that are driving some of that culture work. They're networking with other people across the company. Doesn't matter if they're in Houston or Princeton, New Jersey, or in Utah, or Canada. So they're driving their own cross communication, collaboration, but they're also, they're examples of the work that we all are trying to do, the work that we're doing to get us to that next level. And to share a few stats, we have 16 BRGs active, but the OLA Club, which is our Hispanic focus group, it's already on its 2nd generation, along with half of our other BRGs, but it is also the 2nd largest that we have. And overall, 23% of our employees participate in BRGs. And so, when you start putting numbers together, 23% participation rate, and have the OLA is the 2nd largest, it starts speaking to the maturity of them and the progress that they're making. And finally, of course, providing education opportunities. They can be self-led or they can be instructor taught, but making sure that you're providing them constantly so that employees can join those. They can participate in a way that makes sense for them, and in a way that it's also going to help them identify their own biases and work on those programs or ideas or ways for them to tackle them. Because at the end of the day, the biases are so hard to battle, but they are somewhat identifiable, measurable, and therefore, you can provide based recommendations for them to work through those.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Carla. So far, very interesting to see how bringing Hispanics is one of the strategies, or creating safe and intentional spaces such as BRG, like the example of Ola that you just gave, are things that are working. Now I'm very curious to hear from Andrea and Roberto. What are those best practices from your side? Andrea?
Hi, thank you, Ana, and good morning to all of the panelists and attendees with whom I'm honored to share about all of our experiences. Representing the technology space, I want to start by expressing that one of the myths about digital transformation or technology is that it is all about harnessing technology, but it is not. It begins with diverse teams of people who reflect the full diversity and rich perspectives of our world. So collectively, we have an opportunity to propel the future and do good. And with culture, culture is the key long-term success. So the best culture already exists for every organization. So every company already has its own best culture. So, and with that said, that means that they have their own ideas. They know how to do things and how things should go for the organization. But without a clear purpose, communication and measurement of the how to do that, it might be hard for employees and sometimes for customers to grasp and to understand. So in my organization, in Adelitica, the way we have helped companies embarking into digital transformation has begun with a comprehensive assessment. And this assessment helps them articulate the opportunities on the current culture and their preferred one. Now, the assessment it involves many aspects of the organization, but focused on the retaining on the human resources aspect in this session, and to determine whether the organization is on the right track. It is not about doing something new, but it is about finding out what works for the organization when we perform these assessments. So creating a data-driven culture, that's the goal of the assessment when it comes involvement with the human aspect of digital transformation, is to create a data-driven culture, because it is a multiplier for the outcomes that matter the most for the organization. And when it is properly harnessed, it becomes very powerful, a very powerful differentiator. But who needs to be involved in digital transformation? So digital transformation touches every part of the organization. Most successful companies establish cross-functional teams for their digital transformation initiatives. And we, in our organization, when we perform these assessments, we create an outline, a recommendation of roles and functions to involve and ensure the best success in the process. So collaboratively, organizations and leaders need to help guide the transformation efforts, strategies, and digital capabilities by communicating the mission and the goal of the organization to everyone. And then to bring to the application and leader and teams, guide the enterprise applications, manage the adoption of new technologies. Then comes the data analytics leader teams that provide intelligence and business insights for the planning, the strategy, the focus of the alignment and decision-making capabilities, everything that the business needs at that moment. The involvement of IT tools to enable new technologies and digital solutions for the business innovation that is going on within the organization. And with that, going away from only technology, the sourcing, the procurement, the vendor management, the marketing team, everyone in the organization needs to evaluate and contract and engage in this digital transformation and innovation.
Thank you, Andre, so much. Oh,
yes. So this is, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that quite an umbrella issue of like building the culture. And then one of the many ways of building the culture so Hispanics can feel that they belong and therefore stay in the company is through digital transformation and having a data-driven assessment that is not about what you feel that they want, it's about what they actually want. So fully valuable. And then Roberto, what is your experience?
Well, buenos dias. Good morning, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Roberto Ramirez. We have started, talking about what Andrea is talking about technology. When it comes to Hispanic public media, we have done so much work on the media side because of technology, and technology has really given us and opened a door that was never open when it came to analog media. Now with the internet being here, or has been here for a while now, has given us an opportunity to really open doors in every country that speaks Spanish. So what we have been able to do is, since we are a volunteer organization, we have to acquire help from different sources, and the human source is key. We have people in Spain, we have people in Colombia, Mexico, throughout Latin America, and this unit of volunteers has really helped us give Hispanics within the United States a totally different view of what we need to do within the integration of us within this country. Our goal in itself is to be able to help people acquire that knowledge in order for us to integrate. As an immigrant myself, and I'm sure some of you have become immigrants in this country as well, we have to do such a learning experience in itself for us to be able to feel part of this society. So media in itself has to do its part, and that's what we're trying to do through our collaborative throughout the U.S., Spain, Latin America. So these are some of the things that I feel that it is most important for us to communicate. When we are here talking about communication, how is it that we can lead people into the different sectors? Then we have to have a platform. And that's why we built this, or we started thinking, just a few entrepreneurs, Mexican entrepreneurs, that we needed something that we could communicate through and be able to enforce this knowledge into our community itself. Because yes, as corporate leaders, yes, we can do certain things, but look at the farmer, look at the person that is coming from very rural areas within Latin America or other countries. And it doesn't have to be Hispanics alone, because we are going to be eventually doing it in Spanish as well. So these are some of the things that we have to take in strides and be able to bring this content to them, especially now with mental health.
Diversify would be the main strategy, like diversify from where you get the talent and diversify the channels that you're using to reach different audiences.
Yeah, well, the challenge that we currently have is acquiring students that are coming out of the media sector in itself, out of the schools. So we are beginning to sign MOUs and start doing those areas so we can develop our own talent. Again, we're a non-for-profit. You know, we are also looking at how is it that we can implement all these systems. We have great leadership within the different sectors on the board. And those are some of the areas that we continue to develop as we move on. It's been 10 years, but it's been 10 years of challenges, okay? Because there's so many other things that we have to, that we're learning as we're walking. We're a baby compared to other networks, right?
Oh, yeah.
But again, our focus is to be really be able to make progress as we continue to walk in this sector. Again, I didn't know anything about media 10 years ago.
Thank you,
My
Robert.
profession is being a janitor, so that can tell you right there that I'm an entrepreneur and I have no fear.
Yeah. Thank you, Roberto, so much.
Thank you.
Now we learn a little bit of like best practices, programs, and initiatives. Now I would like to know about how are you tracking advancement within this pillar? What has worked? What does not work? And just in general, how do we keep each other accountable? Andrea, what do you think?
Yeah, one of the things that we've done, and this is through a study that we learned from Deloitte, is that nearly half of organizational leaders do not do anything with the results of job satisfaction, personality, and engagement surveys. So because these surveys ask about outcomes or sentiments and do not offer actionable insights, we make sure to bring on board proven tools to understand performance motivators. So these tools focus on behavioral science, and the result is that what motivates employees to stay longer and become more productive, improving skills training and generating employee engagement. So by performing this type of assessments, we can suggest role reallocation when it comes to digital transformation and artificial intelligence projects. And as part of creating a multidisciplinary and diverse teams. So we understand that organizations' value chain provides the context where human and technology and now artificial intelligence, how all of it works together. And that itself, that whole group of things can evoke both excitement and also anxiety, as we know, among human resources. So we create action plans that focus on working plus preposition plus technology plus artificial intelligence, AI. And in other words, the attributes of the role allocation between human, technology, and AI. So in this digital era, there are two main areas: working by AI and working with AI. So the latter includes the former because humans should bear the ultimate responsibility for organizational work, including the AI work. And it's up to us humans to handle and overcome the concerns about AI so that human AI collaboration can be positive and productive. So with this big picture in mind, culture and people are at the core in all of this. And to build great digital products and experiences, we have to be focused on people and the end user or the customer. So it is important to know what problem they're trying to solve and what motivation looks like for them. And having Hispanic diversity brings a whole range of cultural experience to the customer experience for the organization.
Okay, so then I think that the best way that your company is bringing accountability on how to retain Hispanics is with the assessment that you gave us before. Then you grab that just as a source to identify outcomes and sentiments, but then the accountability mechanism is to create an action plan that is at the intersection of human, AI, and tech.
Yes, tools that are more specifics on behavioral science, that had this science based on behavior that helps us understand what motivates employees, what are the motivators, where are their motivations, and how skills fit into the digital transformation process. Because we've had experiences where we've met people that are so passionate about data, but they're doing something else in the organization. And they, just because they're so passionate about data, they went and went through all of the data and created this whole discovery of the perfect customer for the organization, but the role is somewhere else. So their focus is somewhere else. So it's being misutilized.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrea. Caro, what about you? What are some of those tracking and accountability mechanisms that you're aware of?
Yes, we have so much data right now. I think that's actually one challenge for the businesses. So what my best practice or that I want all of us to keep in mind is that we should be interrogating the data and we should become storytellers. So let me give you an example. In our case, if you just look at the indicators and KPIs, our turnover of talent was very, very low, and it has been very low. So you may think there's not a problem. Like we have our Latin talent retained and they're happy and they want to stay with us. But then you need to dig deeper. And really, that's what I say, interrogate the data. So let me see advancement and let me see further, like what you are doing in terms of sponsorship, mentorship. Is there a difference with other groups? Are they participating in high-profile projects? Are they being part of global assignments? Are they having opportunities on leadership development? So that's for me, this world that we live right now, where we have so data, the skill set that we have to really develop is how to interrogate it, build insights, and tell the story to make sure that we get to the root cause. And if not, we can be shooting for something else and not identify the root cause of the issues.
I love that. And as a person that has focused on impact measurement quite a long time, I do want to emphasize the importance of identifying the right problem. Once you have a clear problem statement, you're able to bring accountability to the right issue, because you can have a lot of data, but if you're not clear on what is the problem that you're trying to solve, then yes, absolutely in agreement. So again, don't just collect data, interrogate it, question it, and build a story around it so you are able to go to the root of the problem. Thank you so much. Now we are going to go with Roberto. My understanding is that you have some ideas also of things that do not work in terms of accountability. What are the things that you have experienced so far?
Well, we know in our experience through volunteers, every individual that comes through Hispanic Public Media has a talent. That's why they're coming to us. So once you assess that talent, you find that and empower that individual to continue to do that. Because there are some that would like to do programming, some would like to go into, finding data, do all these other things. So once you find that individual's, force within that person, then you have to incite that force to come out even more and give him that or give her that opportunity to really open up. Don't retain that person simply because you have that talent there. Don't retain that person in that position. Try to give that person an overview of what you're trying to get to. Once they do that, then they're going to be free. Again, as volunteers, you cannot force people to do certain things, right? So this is a volunteer, and we are open for them to come and help out. Because the outcome at the end of the day is how we're going to impact our community, and not just our Latino community, but every community out there. Because again, as immigrants, we come here with una mano enfrente y otra atrás, and we are able to get ahead. I mean, look at what's going on right now with all the immigrants that we're getting from Venezuela. Okay, so we have to make sure that we understand that talent, and there's so much talent coming in. So we have to empower that talent to be able to get to the corporate level, to C level corporate. Otherwise, we're going to fail them. We are already in our seats, right? We have already been able to accomplish so many things ourselves. But how is it that we can empower those folks that are coming in? We're not doing enough. Media is not doing enough to empower these people. Yes, we're able to, as media, especially commercial media, and I'm sorry to go into this, Anna, but media is not doing enough for us. It's not doing enough. They're getting into our pockets, but not doing enough, paying back, okay?
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. And I'm going to ask here, Iyali, if you can help us find the link to the Hispanic Sentiment Study that We Are All Human just launched a couple of weeks ago at the Cannes Festival of Creativity, where we launched a very comprehensive study of the state of representation of Hispanic in media that speaks to that. And then it is one of our mechanisms to bring accountability to different sectors.
Exactly.
As we bring to that. So I couldn't agree with you more. And I do believe that what you were mentioning about how to make sure that we are retaining not only employees, but volunteers might have different challenges. And I do want to complement your answer, if you allow me, that after working in an organization that managed Hispanic employees and volunteers, at the core of our of accountability mechanisms came three pillars. One is, how much clarity do they have on the purpose? Like, how much are they connected with the mission? The second one is, how much autonomy do they have? And how much liberty you're giving them then? And once you measure those two things, then you're able to create a rewards and recognition strategy. So you're able to keep them motivated and retaining into the next challenge. So again, couldn't agree with you more in terms of like the subtle differences between employees and volunteers. Which again leads me to the next question, which is, what are some barriers that you have faced while advancing the retention strategies for Hispanics? So for that, I'd like to know from Carla, what do you think?
So I mentioned in my previous answer that unconscious bias is or just in general biases and prejudices they're just so hard to tackle. But the most important thing is that they're identifiable, they're measurable. And so because of that, they can be combatable. And so for us at NRG, one of the challenges that we faced was, okay, well, making sure that people are aware of those. Then how do we start with that? Well, training unconscious bias, right? We started with that yearly basis. We've been doing them for years, but then that's one way to start. But then how do you get to that next part? Okay, so I'm aware of my biases. How do I go about working on them and making sure that I'm not letting them overpower the rest? And so our executives undergo extensive training with one of our partners, Gartner. And then we also have started moving into inclusive leadership. So from unconscious bias to inclusive leadership, which is a different dynamic. And so in order to equip our managers, the leaders of people, in having those difficult conversations, we give them tools and resources for them to learn how to have these conversations about development, about performance, hiring, and what's next for their teams. And so we try to equip them, and we're working on equipping them on developing those skills so that we can finally, or with more certainty, say, okay, we have been able to move into this inclusive leadership mindset versus being only aware of those biases.
Fantastic. I really like that. And I do believe that the barrier of unconscious bias and then moving into the inclusive leadership, two barriers that not only Hispanic people and Hispanic employees face, it's overall a big problem. Carolina, what about you?
Yeah, I love to build on Carla's because it's very similar. I will just take it up a notch in terms of cultural intelligence. I think that it's important for managers to understand our culture and to understand how do we operate if we are first generation, second generation. English is not our first language, because all of that can become stereotypes of bias that really prevent Hispanic talent to advance in the organization. So for me, is how do we keep building managers' capability, not just to understand Hispanics, but the diversity, the incredible diversity that we have in the US requires managers to really be very have the skill set to manage differences. And the cultural piece for me is very, very important, because it can show in a way that just because the way that we were brought up, the way that we grew up in the organization, and it cannot translate in the corporate American culture. And at the same time, I do think that also there's a need for training or building capability of our Hispanic talent on how to navigate the organization. Yes, doing your job, doing it well is the first step, but it's not all. So how do we equip our Hispanic talent to say, hey, here's how you get a sponsor. You don't have to wait for a sponsor to choose you. Here are the ways that you can get a mentor, go look for opportunities, and yes, do the job, be the best at your job, and here is how you navigate the organization.
I love it. And I do want to encourage people to go and search on the different techniques that are for managers on how to be culturally sensitive to Hispanic employees. One of the things that do not come as a surprise to anyone who has worked with Hispanics is that we are very, very committed workers, very hard workers, but we also are very family driven. And the concept of family and how important it is for us to take care of aging parents, to take care of kids is quite high when you compare to other demographics, and how a manager can navigate those cultural nuances is one of the key elements on how to make sure that you retain the talent. So now we are leading to our last question. I know time flies, so I would like to thank all of the panelists for your time and hearing your last insights on what resources or support do you need that will help the advancement of the retention strategies within your company and organizations. Caro, let's start by you.
And I think that you just answered my question with the link that you said. I'm looking forward to looking at that link, because those are the kinds of resources that we need to come back to the organization and show data and show here are the pieces that we need to focus. And for me, managers' capability is key. So I'm looking forward to look at that information that you just mentioned.
Perfect. So Hispanic Sentiment Study, go to our website, weareallhuman.org or hispanicstar.org, and then you will find there all of the ones that we've done also in the past. Thank you so much, Caro. Carla, what about you?
I think raising that awareness of the differences within the Hispanic community, Caro alluded to that. While there's common traits among Hispanic, Latino countries in Latin America, Spain, etc., there are also differences. And so understanding some of those, and that will only yield better marketing for product services for companies like consumer product companies, depending on the industry, but also in general understanding of those differences and why we may behave a certain way.
Thank you so much, Carla. Yeah. Now, Andre, what about you?
Yeah, well, from the technology and digital transformation perspective, I believe that the most important resource is support. And that means employee involvement, meaning everyone within the organization actively involved in the transformation of the company, always inform what's going on in regards of transformation initiatives, because that affects every corner of the organization. So there's big responsibility with being involved, and that responsibility includes contributing with the thought, welcoming participation from all other employees, and rethinking and bringing own perspectives of their own roles to the table to the transformation initiatives. So to enhance people's morale and improve motivation and measure the driver of employee engagement, it is important for organizations to adapt practices like methodologies such as people analytics, utilizing the appropriate tools for advancing the organization into the data-driven, goal-focused, and culturally diverse organization.
Thank you, Andrea. And now, Roberto, very shortly, what are your barriers that the resources that you wish to have?
Well, I guess money is an issue in every organization that is a not-for-profit. I have to admit that we need sponsors. We need people that understand our values, understand our focus, and understand our mission within this country and throughout the world. I think it's important for us to have that support, especially from our corporations, large corporations that are giving so much money to the other side, the commercial side, and are getting enough return, to be honest with you. I feel that we have an opportunity here to grow this and be able to empower our community, because empowering our community is going to empower this country. But and that's at the end of the day, that's pretty much it. Barriers, we only put ourselves barriers because of fear, and fear shouldn't be in our blood at all. As Latinos coming from either Mexico, Venezuela, or from wherever you come, once you cross the border, you're an entrepreneur. Let's face it. We're taking that risk. We are here. Let's make it happen.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Roberto, Andrea, Carla, Carolina, for your time. This concludes our 4th capacity building series on the pillar of retain. I would like to deeply thank all of our fantastic panelists that generously share your learnings and your experiences, but of course to all of you who tune in today to learn more about how can corporate America better retain Hispanic talent. We look forward to having you in our next capacity building series about celebrating Hispanic success that will take place on Wednesday, September 27. And as usual, please share the Hispanic Promise Pledge and encourage other companies to join the movement as well. It was a pleasure having you, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank